Imagine a ship that doesn't just sail, it flies. A 300-ton steel giant lifting itself out of the churning ocean to outrun the fastest, deadliest predators of the deep. This was the USS Plainview, the US Navy's ultimate secret weapon during the height of the Cold War. It was designed to change naval warfare forever, yet today it lies rotting and forgotten on a muddy riverbank. How did the world's most advanced ship become a ghost? Let's dive into the incredible, unfolding journey of the ship that flew at.
Hello and welcome. If you're new here, welcome to Amazing 5.
The story begins in the 1960s, a time when the world was a tinderbox of tension. On one side, the United States, on the other, the Soviet Union. The ocean wasn't just a vast body of water, it was a silent, terrifying battlefield. The Soviets had developed a new breed of nuclear submarines, underwater shadows that could travel at a staggering 75 kilometers per hour, diving deep to hide from radar and sonar. To the US Navy, these were invisible ghosts that their traditional, lumbering combat ships simply could not catch. The Americans needed something radical. They needed a predator that could hunt the hunters. They needed speed that defied the laws of the sea. The answer lay in a forgotten invention from 1906. An Italian engineer had once dreamed of a boat that used underwater wings, known as hydrofoils. Think of them like airplane wings, but instead of lifting a fuselage into the sky, they lift a massive hull out of the water. As the boat gains speed, the water pressure against these wings pushes the entire ship upward. Once the hull is out of the water, the drag, the friction that usually slows a ship down, practically disappears. By the 1950s, this technology was being used for small boats on calm lakes, but the US Navy wanted to take it to the open, treacherous ocean. They wanted to build a monster. Enter the USS Plainview. Launched in 1966, she was a 320-ton marvel of engineering. To look at her was to see the future. But the real magic was hidden beneath the waterline. To power this beast, the Navy didn't just use standard marine engines. They went to the air. They stripped the engines from F-4 Phantom fighter jets and strapped them into the ship. With 14,000 horsepower screaming through her veins, the Plainview was a force of nature. When the captain pushed the throttles forward, something miraculous happened. The massive steel hull would rise majestically out of the waves, supported only by its slender struts and foils. In an instant, the ship was no longer battling the ocean, it was gliding over it. It reached speeds of 91 kilometers per hour, leaving Soviet submarines in its wake. With additional jet engines, it was theoretically capable of hitting a mind-blowing 170 kilometers per hour. For a moment, it seemed like the US Navy had won the race. The Plainview could cut through 10-foot waves as if they were glass. It was stable, it was fast, and it was terrifying. But as with all great legends, there was a tragic flaw. The Plainview was a victim of time and complexity. It took 14 long years to fully develop and perfect these 4 hydrofoil prototypes. In the world of military technology, 14 years is an eternity. By the time the Plainview was ready for full-scale service in the mid-1970s, the world had moved on. New technology had emerged. The Navy realized that they didn't necessarily need a flying ship to catch a submarine when they could just send a helicopter equipped with advanced sonar and torpedoes. A helicopter was faster, cheaper, and didn't have to worry about waves at all. Beyond the competition, the Plainview had its own internal demons. Because it was essentially a plane on water, it was incredibly fragile compared to a standard destroyer. It couldn't carry the heavy armor or the massive cannons needed for a real fight. Furthermore, those jet engines drank fuel like a thirsty giant, making the ship incredibly expensive to operate. It was a high-maintenance ballerina in a world that needed rugged soldiers. In 1978, the Navy made a heartbreaking decision. The Plainview was decommissioned. The dream of a hydrofoil fleet began to evaporate. While a few smaller, Pegasus-class hydrofoils served for a few more years, the end of the Cold War in 1991 signaled the final curtain call for these high-speed hunters. Today, if you travel to the banks of the Columbia River near Astoria, Oregon, you will find a haunting sight. There, half sunken in the mud, tilted on its side, is the rusted, skeletal remains of the USS Plainview. The GEH-1 designation is still visible on its bow, a fading reminder of its former glory. It is a cinematic end to a cinematic journey. The ship that once flew over the waves, the ship that once kept Soviet captains awake at night, is now a silent playground for rust rust and moss. It stands as a powerful symbol of human ambition, a reminder that sometimes we build the future so fast that the present simply can't keep up. The USS Plainview didn't just sail, it captured our imagination, soared for a brief, brilliant moment, and then returned to the Earth, leaving only the legend of the ship that flew.